Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Go ahead and... Oh, wait, I need to lose 30 seconds of audio. So here we are. Okay, now, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Rasco's Modern Life. And you, dear listener, did you know that you can download episodes of Geeky Gentlemen and listen to them on the go? And that there's a link to download and listen to this episode on the go in the description? How crazy is that? And did you know that you can also request for older episodes to be posted as downloadable podcasts? Yeah, seriously, there's a Geeky Gentleman playlist. If you go and just go through that and find an old episode and then leave a comment, like, I'll totally upload it and link it to you. It's this crazy thing we're doing. So just in case you didn't know that, everybody listening. Anyway, Rasco, what are we talking about this week?
This week we're talking about a fan film called Joker Rising.
Indeed. And here we go. You ready for this? You ready for my hot take on Joker Rising?
Go ahead.
This definitely, by no stretch of the imagination, is a bad movie. I still hate it.
Okay.
I hate it completely on personal taste and bias levels. It has nothing to do with the film, like, on any kind of objective quality-wise. I think it gets some things just generally wrong, but these are interpretations of the characters that exist, except for Riddler. Riddler, I think, is objectively stupid, but everything else, I am like, I totally see what they're doing, I totally see the interpretation they're going for. I don't like that interpretation from a personal level, so I'm going to be really negative in this review, but keep in mind that I don't think that makes this a bad movie. How about you, Rasco? What do you think of this?
So I think that this is a really interesting fan film in a lot of ways, and it's really strange. So, for one, I can't tell, is it supposed to be in the Nolan universe, or just...
No, there's no way.
Yeah, because they talk about Harvey Dent as if he's... like
a drug dealer,
yeah,
and
you talk about him as if he's like another crime presence in Gotham, so it can't be in the Nolanverse. But it's clearly trying to be.
It's weird because watching this, it gave me like a whole new level of respect for just how comic booky Nolan's movies are in comparison, right? Because Nolan, like, gets a lot of stuff, and I've met Burton fanboys who hate Nolan's movies because they don't like that quote-unquote realistic approach. But when you pair it against something like this, you see how damn comic booky at times his movies got.
True.
Like, there's some stuff that's really, really out there in the Nolan movies that's not even kind of like some of the stuff they're doing in this film. This is a much more... very realistic Batman movie compared to Nolan's. But yeah, they are definitely going for that realistic, quote-unquote, Nolanized approach. How weird that we've done 2 of those in a row this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, wait, yeah. I guess you're right. I'm sorry, I just switched microphones, so do I sound different?
No, you're fine. I just was like, I thought you were just really intently listening and had nothing to add.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just switching my microphone.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this is like... It's weird because the one issue that I have with this is that I can like constantly tell that... and it feels like it's shot in like L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it said that in the description. And I can kind of tell just because of the architecture and like the house design.
Yeah, and, like, to be fair, Gotham's always kind of been considered, like, an eastern city, but there's nothing that, like, is hardline it has to be.
Yeah.
So, it's, you know, it's a fan film thing. You shoot where you can shoot. The locations they managed to get were pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they got
Or, at least
locations.
they wrote around their limitations really well, because a lot of the times they're just in rooms or in someone's house or whatever, but it's a believable scenario, you know? It's not like we're supposed to be in some millionaire's house and it looks like, you know, a kid's bedroom.
This fan film walks this weird line between just it's just barely below, I guess, the quality that I would call, like, professional. And
Uh-oh. Hello, you there? Hello?
yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. You were saying it's just barely below.
Oh, I said it just feels like it's barely below, like, professional quality, I guess. Like, it's just in a weird way. So, like, you have, like, sometimes where you'll get, like, really forced dialogue about, like, Oswald being, like, a penguin on, like, the ice slipping or whatever. And then that whole conversation with Black Mask is really strange. Because he's like, laying into these henchmen of the Penguin in front of all of his henchmen.
Yeah, and he is making the point, though, that he's with his men and Oswald isn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Penguin dialogue, or not the Penguin dialogue, but the line about the Penguin, it's a little rough. It's just... I'm just trying to think, have I ever heard anyone say a metaphor like that before? And I can't think of anyone. I've never heard penguins talked about in that way. And so, like, that just makes it kind of iffy. Like, honestly, the joke, or the name Penguin in a lot of the comics is usually a mean joke. He gets called that for years and years and years, because that's just what he looks like, and so that it just sticks, and then he embraces it, is usually the idea that they go for in the comics. But with this, Oswald Cobblepot is just a dude. There's nothing particularly penguin-looking about him.
Yeah.
But then they really do try to jam that one in there. But it's not bad. It's like, I believe that's why Cyrus doesn't like him. I believe that's why Cyrus has a problem with him. It's just kind of a stilted line. It really does remind me of, like, you know, a lot of the early Marvel movies and just generally a lot of 2000 superhero movies where they didn't want to go right out and say the name or whatever, but they'll, like, you know, allude to it. So you'll get, like, I love the Incredible Hulk, but you have that one really awkward section where it's like two college kids and they're like, oh, he was like some kind of incredible Hulk!
Yeah.
And it's just this really awkward way to get to the line, so it's not exclusive to this.
Yeah. I thought it was, like, a really strange choice to pull all of the Batman stuff from the Nolan films, but I guess it worked because they did that so they could probably just kind of use all of the Nolan stuff, I guess, in terms of, like, music.
When you say pull the Nolan stuff from the Batman films, what do you mean?
Like, they use a similar aesthetic to the Nolan films in almost every way, so that they can pull from some of that stuff, so they have a wide array of different score choices from the Nolan verse that all feel still consistent with what they've made.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes it ambiguous, is if this is supposed to be a prequel to The Dark Knight. I think you said that to me at one point, that it's supposed to be...
Yeah, I honestly thought it was
Knight.
the first time I just kind of, browsed through scenes of this the first time I came across it. And it wasn't until I watched it this time and I was like, oh my god, wait a second, this doesn't make sense, this can't fit in there continuity-wise, so...
Yeah.
It's weird, because in a lot of ways it could, because he talks about like how he was in crime and then Batman showed up and changed everything, and then he became the Joker. So like he could in that timeline wise, but it's just the Harvey Dent thing that like makes it so that it doesn't add up. Harvey Dent is the thing that throws it off, so it couldn't be in the Nolanverse.
Honestly, I'm glad that it's not a prequel to The Dark Knight, because I really don't like Joker origin stories.
Yeah.
And especially to give Heath Ledger's Joker an origin. Like, I remember there were a lot of people talking about, oh, I wish we could have gotten that. I'm like, no, you completely missed the point of that character if you wanted an origin for him. That's what made him scary, is he had no...
Agreed.
He just came out of nowhere. He was the world's natural response to Batman. But at the same time, you know what I think this is more than it is a Nolan-style Batman fan film? I feel like this is a, like 20 years later in the universe of Goodfellas, Batman shows up, and then this shit happens. Like,
yeah.
I really feel like that's what I'm watching. Like, this, from the music choices, to the narration, to the way it's told, this is a goddamn Goodfellas movie. Have you ever seen Goodfellas?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It does have that vibe to it, and I think it's really funny how it just kind of boldly uses music that's copyrighted.
Oh, it's a risky game, and I think it got pulled from YouTube at one point for it. Just looking through comments and stuff. But it's up now. It's been up for like 3 years, I guess.
I think that's funny. What do you think of the acting? Because I think the best actor in this might be Harley.
Yeah, it's just too bad that I hate their relationship.
Yeah, I knew you would hate it, and I kind of don't necessarily like it either.
I get why people do it, but I find it kind of disgusting to have Harley and Joker be, a cute couple or some kind of ideal couple. Like, I think that's how Harley thinks of it. Don't get me wrong. If you were doing a Harley Quinn movie that was, like, very stilted, like, you can't tell what's in her head and what's not, and you had scenes like that with the Joker, that would be one thing. But to do kind of an outside perspective, or actually, no, this is Joker telling the story, so this is 100% how he feels about her. And that just makes it even worse for me from the perspective of the Joker fan.
Yeah, I totally get why you'd say that.
With what they're doing, with the story they're telling, if it weren't the Joker, it would be good in my book, but it's the Joker, so it's not.
What do you think of, like, the actor who played Joker, actor who played Croc, Riddler?
I like the actor who played Joker. I thought he did a pretty good job. His voice, just a little Jack Nicholson-y, which made the whole Goodfellas thing not quite, because I think Jack Nicholson was in Casino, right? I can't remember. But he had a little bit of a Jack Nicholson tinge to his voice. Like if you listen to some of Jack Nicholson talking, maybe you'd hear it too. But I thought he did a pretty good job. Again, for what it was, I still don't like it. Like, that's the thing for me. I'm having a really hard time saying, "Oh yes, that was good," because the whole time I was like, no, fuck you, stop it. And then the one, like, okay, so the things that I do think are objectively bad, this interpretation or not. Because at that point, you've made your own character. It's not Joker anymore. It's not this character anymore. Riddler being a pimp is just out of nowhere ridiculous.
I know,
I
knew you would hate that. I was like, he's going to hate that. He's going to hate that so much.
That's just so out of nowhere, and like as soon as I saw it, I grabbed my phone and I was like, "Riddler's a pimp? What?" Like that was so. I really don't like that, and I think that's just make your own damn character. And then the other one, the one that really really got me, and I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer before watching this movie. Joker is not allowed to cry once he's the Joker.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, my God, I hated that. And it's like the last shot of the movie, too. I really, really did not like that. It's just... I get that they're doing more of a sympathetic thing, but at that point, I'm like, okay, it's clearly not the Joker. At least to me, it's clearly not the Joker anymore once you have him cry. And Azzarello did the same thing in his book, and I hate that book for the exact same reason.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I certainly did not like this, but it's not because it's not well done. Actor that played Croc was pretty good. I liked the scene where he was drunk and talked about killing kids.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I had a little trouble. I think the actor had a little trouble selling the turn, but I think that might just be more on the writing.
Yeah. So when he like carves his face.
Yeah, he's like way
I didn't buy that either because he's like defending him until the last second when he's completely turned on him.
Yeah, like once he does that, because especially the way that they had a scene or two before that, and then there's some timing issues that we'll get into, timing of events, but they had a scene just a little before that where Cyrus is talking to him and he's like, we're completely disposable to him. We're dead in the water if we stay with him. Like, he's bad news. Sticking with him, being loyal to him, isn't going to get us anything. And you can tell that's kind of working in the back of his head. And then Riddles, I'm not even going to call him the fucking Riddler, Riddles comes to Oswald and has this thing, like, I want you to kill him, and also kill the girl that I'm mad at him for dating, which is weird, but anyway, I want you to kill him, and Croc tries to defend him. He's like, nope, we're doing it. He's a good kid, but he's screwed up. And, like, it should be a harder thing for him than it is. Like, I'm not sure if it's the script.
Yeah, okay, so wait, I have a question.
It.
I have a question. Did they... so there's that scene where he asks him, like, how did you get your scars or something like that? Or, like, the subject of Croc's scars come up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and they never explain it.
See, I thought they should have had Croc explain at some point, maybe in the scene when he was drunk, like, he did something wrong, and then, like, Oswald had someone carve his face for it, because, like, a similar situation to what would later happen with Joker happened. And then Croc has to then be the guy to carve the Joker's face that he once was in the past. And, like, that, like, I don't know, like, I thought, like, that's what that was going to... I thought that was foreshadowing that.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I think that could have, like, tied that together in a more thematically relevant way.
Again, I still think his motivations would be off, particularly when you have Cyrus making Croc question his loyalty to Oswald.
No, yeah, you'd need more scenes for sure.
Yeah, it's just like,
there's a lot there
this
that
film's
needs
already long enough.
Added.
It's just such a weird thing, because he's like, he looks like he's enjoying carving up Cyrus, and while you could have taken Croc in a direction where that works, particularly after how fucking weird that scene in the one guy's house is, you could have taken Croc in a direction where he started really hating Cyrus and made that work, but I don't feel that they did.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the other thing with that finale is just the timing on the sequence of events, I don't think makes any sense.
I don't either, how that all happens while he's running.
Yeah. Like, maybe... You could maybe make me buy that Oswald lives really close to Harley, but that's such a stretch that all of that happens, and they have time to kidnap Harley, and Croc has time to get in the car and go pick Cyrus up, all before he could run back to her apartment, especially because it looks like he didn't even walk that far away when they went to go jump his ass.
Yeah, okay, I have another question about timing and events. Okay, they make Riddles cut off his finger.
Yeah.
And then he shows up to the Penguin with, like, a gauze wrap around his whole hand with, like, blood showing through it, okay?
Yeah.
So, how soon after did he go visit Penguin? Because like, if he just cut off his finger, wrapped it in gauze, and went there, like Penguin should know something is weird. Like no one would ever show up with a bloody gauze wrapped hand. In like modern society, you would like clean it first and get the bleeding and stuff, and then you would wrap it cleanly. No one would tolerate you walking around with your bloody gauze hand.
I'll give it a little bit of a pass, just because the character is a pimp, and something like some kind of recent injury on the job seems at least plausible with him. I will give that a pass, I think. That one didn't bother me as much as just the sequence of events with Cyrus running back to Harley's apartment. I think that is a significantly bigger problem.
I think it's funny how he's like, what happened to your hand? And he's like, oh, just a problem with a girl or something like that. And he's like, you can clearly see like he's missing a finger and it's bloody. And I'm like, see, like if I were the parent, I'd be like, the finger's gone, dude. What the fuck? Like,
I don't know, like that just seems believable enough to me that, you know, that seems like a believable situation for someone who is, you know, a professional criminal. That something would happen where he would lose a part of a finger. And, you know, it's wrapped, so clearly it doesn't have to be that he lost a finger, because guess what, Rasco? I highly doubt that the actor took off the finger, so...
Well, they made it look like he didn't have a finger in the gauze wrapping.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying, is you can wrap your hand in a way that, like, something is...
Yeah, but why would you do that? Like, I would ask.
I know, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't...
It looks like the finger is gone.
It doesn't necessitate that a finger is gone, is all I'm saying.
Like, I just think if you lost a finger, you'd be a lot more freaked out about it than Riddles is. And he's just like, oh, yeah, I had a problem with a girl. And he's just like... And, like, if I were the Penguin, I'd be like, wow, dude, you seem really calm about the fact that your freaking pointer finger has been removed from your body recently as of the blood on your gauze hand, and you're really calm about this whole thing.
I think also the Penguin is a bit of an idiot here.
Yeah.
They make a lot of points to that. I mean, the dude leaves a loaded gun on his desk and then just goes to the shitter.
Yeah, he's incompetent, and that will be his downfall, the Joker thinks.
Yeah, and like I really like that side of things. It's weird.
That is his downfall in the end, is that exact incompetence that you just mentioned about the gun.
Yeah, I like that. I like that approach to the Joker. Again, it's weird that this isn't a prequel to Dark Knight, with how many overall points this version of the Joker shares with Ledger's, because he's got that whole idea of this town deserves a better class of criminal. Like, that's a line in The Dark Knight, and it's something that's kind of, you're seeing the seeds planted for it here. So it's shared a lot of thematic ideas, but it's just like, it's doing them poorly, I think.
Yeah.
With this characterization, I don't think it works.
What's the thing with, like, the girl who likes Croc in that one scene?
Oh, Poison Ivy.
Oh, you're right. She was like a drug dealer, and she sold...
Yeah, and if you look at the drugs that they're carrying...
Okay, see, I didn't hear her name. I just saw the drugs, and I was like, oh, is that like... Is there just a drug, Poison Ivy? Or... And then, like, okay, so I just wasn't...
I don't know what drug dealer, like, personally labels their product, but whatever.
I don't know.
Just saying, I thought that was a bit odd. No, that ain't mine. It has your name on it.
No!
Hey,
that was funny, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of little silly things here and there, but I don't think it, like, affects the overall story. It's just, I don't like the approach, so I'm having an easier time picking it apart. What's something you liked about it, Rasco?
Okay, here, I think the best thing about this is the directing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always great, but there's some times where I'm like, oh, this, I could see this if, like, this was done with, like, movie studio level equipment, how this would look awesome.
Could you give me an example?
So, there's this one shot where it's playing Gimme Shelter. You know that Rolling Stone song?
Yeah.
It's playing that song, and they're chasing down some guy, and he's like, it was an easy job, pick up and drop off. And then, like, they're chasing down this guy, and there's this one part where it's this really long shot where it shows the cameraman is tracking behind them while they're running down an alleyway. Mm-hmm. Then they grab the guy's shirt, and then they're, like, running so fast that they, like, overstep the guy who has now stopped running, and then that, like, detaches their hands from him, so then he gets loose and continues to run, and then they eventually catch up with him a little bit further down the street. And, like, the cameraman, like, leapfrogs their position, and then, like, they leapfrog his position again, and then he leapfrogs them again as they slam him into the wall. And it's really cool. It's all, like, a single shot.
I didn't even pick up on it.
And there's, like, a few shots like that where I'm like, oh, that... Like, see, like that looks really cool. Like, I can imagine if, like, you had maybe, like, a Steadicam or something like that, how that could look even cooler. But obviously, like, that's the thing, is that you're supposed to, you do what you can. And so, like, I saw that in some of the directing, and it was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was well shot. I mean, it looked really, really crisp, which was really impressive. I just started pretending this was another character that wasn't named the Joker at a certain point in the movie to be able to enjoy it. I liked when
same thing with Riddler.
Yeah, like they called him Riddles. I'm like, no, that's not the Riddler.
Yeah, he's the Riddler. Accept it. Call him Riddler.
Pimp Papa Riddler. Did you just say that?
No, I just said call him Riddler. You have to say it.
No, Riddles. Because they don't even call him Riddler. They call him Riddles.
No, call him Riddler, Ian.
No, I'm not doing it.
Please call him Riddler.
Fine. Fucking Pimp Riddler.
Just, come on, why do you have to put a thing in front of it? You can't just call him Riddler once.
Like, I want to know, what does he do when he has to slap a girl around? Is he like, riddle me this, how many slaps is it going to take till you learn your fucking lesson? Like, is that what they call him, riddles?
Riddle me this.
Anyway, no, I just started pretending it wasn't about the Joker, and that enabled me to enjoy it a little bit more, because I really like the idea of, some criminal that's just trying to move up in the world, then he meets a girl, and she actually, starts having him dress better. I thought that was all really cool, clever stuff, and once again, it's so Goodfellas, dude. It is so Goodfellas.
What did you
think? It just makes me want to watch Goodfellas.
What did you think of the scene where they broke into the house with a guy and his girlfriend or wife were eating dinner, and then he made the guy do the Russian roulette thing? That
made no sense to me.
Yeah, that scene was really weird, but it that was a perfect example of a scene that walked a line between being really stupid or really cool, and I don't know which one it is.
See, the thing is, with this character, he's clearly a little sociopathic. He has no problem murdering people. So, I could get that he'd be, off. But that kind of move doesn't feel like something the Joker should do before he's the Joker. Yeah. I could totally see the Joker playing Russian roulette with someone. Not a problem. Buy that every day of the week. But seeing someone do it before they're the Joker is just okay, well, what's he accomplishing here?
I think they're trying to seed that, he has this thing where maybe there's a seed of crazy in him, and he tries to deny it, and so, that was trying to set up that, he has an inner struggle with, his psyche, and, when he gets asked, are you crazy, and he decides to shoot the guy, and then, they kill everyone, I think they were trying to seed something there, but they don't do anything with that later on in the movie.
Yeah,
and that's becomes the Joker after a thing that is equally traumatic and probably could have caused him to become the Joker on its own.
Yeah, certainly, and that's the thing for me, is, you don't need that for him to become the Joker. It is almost entire, because it doesn't work for any motivation. We've talked about this scene a number of times now. It doesn't help make Croc's motivation any more clear. It doesn't help make Joker's motivation any more clear. It just seems completely superfluous. It does not feel necessary to the story at all. And once again, this movie's kind of already long enough.
I think that's kind of one of my favorite aspects of this fan film, though, is that they did it. Like, they got the full thing done. And I think that's really cool.
Just that they did a feature-length Joker movie?
Yeah, but I mean, like, more, like, it really feels like all the way through, it's, like, consistent enough, and it has a clear central narrative, and it kind of at least understands story on a degree. Like, it at least understands certain things that have to happen for a story to move along and to be interesting, and how you set up certain things. Like, it understands a little bit about that, and I think that's really cool because, like, they did the full thing. It's all the way through, like, a same consistency, and I think it's just impressive, honestly.
That's fair. My biggest problem, just as from a fan perspective, beyond, just feeling that they got the character of the Joker really, really wrong, is if you're gonna do... I prefer in Joker origin stories not to have Joker origin stories, but when we have Joker origin stories, I prefer that he's a normal dude who just went really, really wrong, all killing joke style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you're gonna do he's a criminal from the very beginning, and then he becomes the Joker, it really, really bothers me when people don't have Batman be responsible for it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see how that really, really is bothering.
Yeah, it's like, if you're gonna do the Joker that, like, is a criminal before he becomes the Joker, like Batman 89, when you don't have Batman be responsible in any way, shape, or form for that, or at least in a situation where Joker can blame Batman for it, it kind of ruins the idea of him getting obsessed. Like, this does Joker as a businessman, and I hate that. Like, he has that line with Black Mask, and fuck, goddammit, don't put Black Mask down, he's awesome. But anyway, he has that exchange with Black Mask where dude says, it gets harder and harder to take off the mask, and Joker says, well, I never plan on taking mine off. And I'm trying not to go all over the place with this. That just doesn't work for me with this version, because this version only cares about the money until Harley dies, and then I don't buy that he's crazy. And, like, they open it with this idea that he doesn't remember who he is, or what if you forget who you really are. I don't buy that that's happened by the end of this, because he, sheds a tear for Harley and everything. So, like, I feel like by the time he's done killing Oswald, he's done being the Joker. I don't feel like he's going to be a better, like, a, long-term criminal after this. Like, crime boss of Gotham. He's got everything he wants. Like, by the time he goes through the process of killing Oswald and everything, I don't feel like he has much motivation for what he originally wanted, which was money. And then Batman is completely secondary to this story in almost every way. And that bothers me too.
Wait, you have an issue with Batman not being... But I mean, like, do you have an issue with him not being at least involved in the Joker turning, or that it doesn't follow Batman enough? Because, like, I don't have an issue with it being about Joker and not having Batman in it a lot. I can see your complaint, though, that Batman doesn't have anything to do with Joker turning into the Joker.
That's certainly my biggest problem. Just generally speaking, I don't like how Batman has nothing to do with this story whatsoever.
Okay, I don't have an issue with that at all, but I can see how that... I mean,
like, I didn't want him to follow Batman. Like, I feel like Batman should be very much a presence in Gotham criminal stories, though. I feel like people should be worried about Batman, or the presence of Batman should be driving things differently. And I feel like that's happening independently of Batman. I feel like Black Mask and Dent are showing up and gaining power independently of Batman. If that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like they're being driven to behave in the ways they are because of Batman.
Why do you think we don't get to see Harvey Dent?
Too expensive, too hard to do the makeup.
I wish you could see Harvey Dent, and then we could have Pimp Riddler and Harvey Dent. That would be so funny, Batman Forever.
Yeah, I really don't like that they, that we have Harvey Dent as a drug dealer, because part of the tragedy of that character is that he was, district attorney, and then Batman couldn't save him, and then he became a crime lord.
Yeah, that kind of that means that, I think that means that Harvey Dent is Two-Face before Batman even shows up.
Yeah.
Which, that's an issue.
Yeah, it's just a really weird interpretation, and I don't like that about it. So there's just a lot that bugs me. There's a lot of, when I talk about it as a fan, if this had been something that came out and it wasn't Batman characters, but it was just a superhero thing, I'd be fine with it. But as a Batman fan, I feel like it's too much of a divergence from Batman and Batman comics. I don't feel like any of these... Okay, so this is a weird point, but you ever read an Elseworlds comic?
Yeah. Okay.
The very first Elseworlds comic I ever read, it had a paragraph explaining what Elseworlds were to me, and it was this idea of, we're putting these characters and trying to keep who they are as central as possible, but just putting them in unique situations that we couldn't do in mainline continuity, unless the situation itself calls for the character to be changed. And that was on a story that put Batman back in the Victorian era, England or whatever. And it was just an interesting take and stuff. But end of the day, I read that book, and that Batman still felt like the same person with just a slightly different background in time. I watched this, and more or less none of the motivations or backgrounds for any of these characters feels like the characters.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. I can't see any of these characters doing any of the same things that their main... Or, let me rephrase that. I can't see any of the mainline canon characters doing or behaving in the ways that these characters are.
Because, Harley's a... Is she a prostitute?
Yeah, she's a prostitute.
Yeah. So...
Oh, that's another problem with Papa Riddler. Okay, so he's really mad at Jack for sleeping with Harley, or Cyrus for sleeping with Harley. But when he wants revenge on Cyrus, he throws Harley to the sharks. What?
I think it's a pure profit thing. Where it still doesn't make sense in the end, because I think what his logic is this. Okay.
If anyone should be logical, it should be the Riddler, right?
Yeah. So, but he's okay, she works for me. My business is selling sex. This guy is trying to have a romantic relationship with her in her personal life. I can't have that because she works for me. And he might take her away from the business, but also he could be a paying customer for her. And it's a business thing. And I guess in the end, the reason it doesn't make sense is because at the end he's okay, we'll kill Harley. And it's well, killing Harley then is as if you had just done nothing and let him continue to date her.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes no sense for anyone involved in that situation. Double that down with the timing, and it makes it even worse. Because, okay, so if it's a purely business decision, yeah, then killing her makes no damn sense because, guess what, you're out of product. If it's... The only way it would make any sense is if I can't have her, no one can, and they don't even kind of do any legwork on that interpretation.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's supposed to be a business decision. It's a terrible business decision. It's like me if I'm at work and someone's like, I really want those plates, but I don't want to buy those plates. Well, no, then, and just smash all the plates on the ground. Like, no one wins in that situation. It's a really bizarre idea, but like that's how stupid a decision that is. And so yeah, I think Riddler, not only for being such a
you call him Riddler! You called him Riddler!
Shit. I think Papa Riddler, not only for being such divergence from the character, but also just everything about him is the weakest part of this movie. He has all the problems of this movie from the purely objective side.
I gotta be honest, dude. When I was watching, when I discovered this fan film, I watched like a part of it, and then I watched it again like a couple weeks after that first initial discovery of it, and I only watched like some scenes and I fast forwarded through it, and I watched that montage where it's playing "Gimme Shelter," and I saw the guy in the green, and I was like, who? Oh, that guy. Who is he? He looks cool, and like he's a crime guy, I guess. And then this time, watching the film through all the way, and like actually understanding the full context of what I'm watching that guy. When I realize he's Riddler, I'm like, oh my god! I just start dying laughing. I thought it was so funny.
I have no problem with Riddler being black. I have no problem with Riddler being in
either, because I thought he might have been one of the better actors as well in the whole thing.
Maybe. I didn't like his girly runaway from getting shot. That just looked a little too ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging a character for running away while getting shot. I'm judging the performance because it just looked very, very girly. Like, he kind of runs with like his arms up in the air. It's just really silly.
You wanted Eddie Murphy to be the Riddler?
Honestly, that was an idea that was kicking around for a while.
I know, I saw that. I like, have you seen like the pictures and they like Photoshop him on like Riddler or like Eddie Murphy, or they Photoshop Eddie Murphy on like
Jim Carrey's? Yeah, I've seen that.
It's so funny.
I think the most racist joke I saw with that was riddle me this, riddle me that. Where are all the white women at? No, I don't have any problem with Riddler being black. My fan casting choice for Riddler has always been Hugh Laurie. Just have him play Evil House, which is just, I guess, House.
Oh, okay. I've seen a lot of people say they want him to be J. Jonah Jameson.
I can see that too. Hugh Laurie's a damn good actor. He'd pull it off. But no, just regardless, Riddler, just the approach, everything about him makes no sense in this movie. And honestly, if you're going to have any character be a pimp, any Batman character be a pimp, Riddler is like the last choice.
I know, it's
he has
so
trouble with women.
That, like, the intellectual villain is the guy who's like selling sex.
Yeah, like Jervis Tech, the Mad Hatter, makes more sense, especially if you have him have like a little girl. That would fit very well in this universe. Black Mask makes a little more sense. If it were more like a BDSM thing.
Make him like...
Killer Croc has actually kind of been drawn and shown vaguely to be kind of a pimp in the comics before, or at least like a leg breaker for a pimp. Like, there are a bunch of other characters that make more sense than Riddler to be a pimp.
Yeah, I agree. You could do also like Maroni.
Maroni would be fine. Again, it's just like Riddler in this kind of universe should be a tech guy. Like that's usually the go-to for, you know, your modern Riddlers is hacker, tech kind of criminal.
Yeah, so I agree. It is really weird. It's funny that we're talking about Riddler so much. It's really funny. I hope that we would. I was hoping that Riddler would come up.
He is objectively the biggest problem with this, even outside of just like a fan interpretation. He is like detrimental to the plot in multiple ways. But what can you do? What else to talk about with this? I really dig the soundtrack that they chose. The song choices were all really cool.
Yeah, it worked. You know, like at first when I thought that it was trying to be in the Dark Knight universe, I was like, the way this movie's structured and the choice to have like a soundtrack isn't consistent with the way those Batman movies work on a structural level. But once I realized that it wasn't connected, I was like, okay, I guess it's fine, and it actually kind of works.
And being in the Goodfellas universe, it definitely works.
Yeah, in the Goodfellas extended.
All my life, I wanted to be a Batman villain. Bum 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 bum. That's what I think of from now on. All my life, I wanted to be a gangster. Dun, 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 dun. It's the good life. Anyway, yeah, I think it works for being in the Goodfellas universe a lot better than it does the Nolanverse. What else have we got with this? Anything else we want to talk about?
I don't know.
I've been more negative on it than you have. What do you think is just a problem? It can be a personal problem for you, or just like you think it's objectively wrong that we haven't talked about.
I think I'm trying to think back to what I mentioned earlier about something. Like I said, I think a lot of the dialogue sometimes just kind of walks a weird line between not quite working, and it's tough because like for example, like we were talking about with the scene where he shoots the guy and then after they play like Russian roulette and stuff like that, or One in the Chamber, whatever you want to call it, when they're playing that, that's like a strange scene, and I don't know if it plays, and I feel like there's quite a few bits of the movie that are like that, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just kind of awkward, and I think the continuous use of lines from The Dark Knight about the Joker is really irritating to me.
Yeah, that is an issue, especially given how different this characterization is. Yeah, especially given how different this characterization is, it is a problem.
But I love the Joker walking up to a homeless man who's obviously crazy and
Yeah, I like that, and that actor looked like he was having a lot of fun. It's weird. I think the problem with those Joker lines is it's such a different characterization because the motivations we get for this Joker outside the personal revenge thing are money. He wants money. He wants power. And the Joker in The Dark Knight burned a fortune. And so those are two things that just do not line up. Did I ever tell you one of my favorite lines from the Joker blogs?
No.
He's going back and forth with the doctor, and she says, I don't think a rational person would burn a fortune. And he goes, no, I only burned my half. Problem was, my half was on the bottom. I didn't think that through. I really love that line so much.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so I love the Joker blog. It's a great series. Yeah, I'm about all done on this one. I don't want to be too negative on it, because I do think it's well made, it's well thought out for the most part. It's got plot issues here and there, but nothing that ruins it from just experiencing it on a level. It just, doesn't work for me on much beyond a very superficial level.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and go on to ratings. You go first.
I'm gonna give this 3. I'm gonna give it 3 Pimp Riddlers out of 5.
Pimpers. Pimp Riddlers.
The Pimpler.
The Pimpler. Okay. I'm tempted to give this one 2 ratings, but I feel I've made pretty clear that I think it's well done. I just don't like it. So I'm going to just give one rating, and this is just my personal feelings on it as a Batman fan film. And so I'm going to give this a 1.5 out of 5. What's a good one? Crazy homeless henchmen. I think that's fair.
Swag.
Swag, indeed. Let me look at the calendar here and figure out what's going on. Okay, so Mortal Kombat goes up this week. This goes up on the 29th. Hi, people watching this on the 29th. Okay, next fan film review needs to be a horror film because we're entering Geeky Gentleman Horror Month. Indeed, and so let's give Blinky a chance. Let's give Blinky 500 a chance. He's a pretty big name, and we've not done any of his stuff yet. So we're going to talk about one's 13 minutes, but I've seen it. It's just okay. One's 6 minutes, but it looks. All right, we'll do that. We'll do Krueger: The Legend of Elm Street.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. We'll talk about Krueger: The Legend of Elm Street.
Krueger: The Legend of Elm Street.
Indeed. That's exactly how the title voice sounds.
It's like an Irish warrior. Krueger! No true Scotsman.
Okay, then. This is getting silly. Are you good, Rasco?
Yeah.
You done? Okay. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. This is a lot of fun. If the fan film creators watched, sorry if I came off as harsh. I do think you did some pretty good work. I just didn't like your approach. But don't take my word for it. Listen to the people's. You've got plenty of views. You don't need my input. And just ignore Rasco generally. He's not all that intelligent. I just keep him around to bounce ideas off of.
What?
Gotta get my kicks in here. Alright, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm Resco!
Ah, fucking goddamn. And we're your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.